are watching another episode of Over the Back Fence, a conversation between neighbors. This is a production of Neighborhood Falmouth, and it is a conversation about various topics. Today, our conversationalists include Marion Bihari, Mary Pat McKenzie, Jackie Pratt, Grant Willis, and I am Susan Laux, and of Neighborhood Falmouth. And today our topic is the most elaborate meal you have ever eaten, the most elaborate meal you've ever cooked, or an incredible meal you remember. So if you're not a cook, feel free to talk about an incredible meal you've eaten or had somebody make for you or that you went to a restaurant for. It can be anything. So who wants to start? I think of you being a big cook, Mary Pat.
Well, I bake. I do cook, and although my husband's much better at it than I am, so probably the most elaborate thing I've ever made is a dessert called Baked Alaska, and a couple of people I have mentioned this to before. So my freshman year in college, I lived in a dorm, but one of my very dear friends was a townie, and her name was Candy Sweet. She'd kill me for using that name now because she switched to her husband's name and goes by her full name of Candace, but her name was Candy Sweet then. So Candy's mother would let us, I have no idea why, take over her kitchen on Saturday night. So we were going to perfect Baked Alaska. Now, I don't know if you all know what Baked Alaska is. I'm going to show you a picture. It looks like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is cake, the middle is ice cream, and the outside is meringue. And the trick is you bake the cake and then you sort of create a dome, melt the ice cream enough so that you can put it in a bowl and put it on. And you put that over the cake and then you cover it in egg whites and bake it without having the ice cream melt all over the oven. It takes quite a few practice attempts is all I can tell you. And I have no idea to this day why Mrs. Sweet thought it was okay to let the two of us do that every Saturday night for a couple of months.
So you just kept doing Baked Alaska
until we got, yeah, we did. We didn't vary the menu or the trial or anything. It was like, what is the best combination of cake, ice cream, and meringue? And could we make it look absolutely perfect, like it should have been in a magazine? And we did that for one whole term, basically.
You eat them all?
Yes. Well, she was one of 7 children. So there was no problem with eating, even on the rejects. There's always somebody there to eat it.
Yeah, I mean, you're starting with good things. So, even rejected it would probably.
It was going to turn down cake, ice cream, and meringue, right?
Mm.
And she had brothers. There was no way that nothing went to waste. But that was the other thing. It's a lot of eggs. It was a lot of eggs.
Oh, yeah.
And her mother was fine with that, which,
Wow.
bless her. I mean, I would no more let my kids do that than
That kept you busy.
Did you ever get them to a level of perfection you were?
Yes, we
happy
did.
with?
We did. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
have you ever made them since?
I tried it once since in the ensuing
Kind of
one.
burned yourself out, kind of went out in a flame of snow cone of glory. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So how much would
A
it,
picture of it.
how much would it cost us to get you to make them again sometime?
Oh, I don't know. I
Call
might.
Mrs. Sweet.
I'll give it some
Call
thought.
Candy. I'll see if Candy will make them
I'll
for
have to track Candy down. Ate it in the ensuing years.
Oh my God, that's great. Oh my
Yeah.
God, that is great. I
It was
love
pretty
that.
It
Okay,
was-
so that's going into my ideal meal. I mean, actually, my ideal meal might be all desserts and a bunch of appetizers too, and drinks. But
Yeah, you don't need any more than that.
yeah,
Perfect.
awesome. Okay, anybody else? Fran?
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about a memorable meal that I had back in the early 90s when my wife was Bill Wells, director of tourism for Massachusetts.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
yeah, Sarah Graham Mann, she was pretty good around Falmouth too. But we were invited, she and I, or she, was invited along with her spouse, meaning me, to a dinner at the Japanese ambassador's house in Brookline.
Oh, wow.
And it was an
Oh,
extremely uh, formal house when you came in. There were about 50 people there. We all went into a huge dining room, mirrors on the wall, and the servant closed the doors behind us, and the Japanese ambassador and his wife sat, right in front of the doors, about 8 feet, facing the middle of the table, which stretched out to both ends. And the table was set up buffet style um, with little dishes that people would pick up and take back to their chairs everybody's seating around the edge of the room. Only the ambassador and his wife were physically at the table. So I walked up and, not being a Japanese food aficionado, I really didn't know what to get. A lot of it was sushi. Now I've learned what the name of it is. Um, but there were some dishes I'd never seen. So I, like Susan, I decided to start with dessert first. And I walked over to this one little dish, had a green swirl of stuff on the top, looked like a miniature Dairy Queen. I said, well, it's good. So I grabbed a spoon, grabbed that, went back and sat at my place. And my wife was talking to the guy next to her. And I looked at the woman next to me. She was Japanese. So she didn't really, we didn't converse very much. And I put my spoon down and took a bite. And I realized the room had gone quiet.
I know what you did.
People were kind of looking at me, and I didn't know why they were looking at me. And then all of a sudden, it felt like somebody had taken an ice pick and driven it in the back of my head. It was the wasabi for the entire party.
Oh.
And I had just eaten it up. And the woman I was talking to my left, we were trying to talk about Taiwan or something like that. And she said, "Oh, so yeah, you've been to Taiwan, you cry because it's so beautiful." I said, "No, I'm crying because of those darn communists that want to attack it." I had to make up something. And I just put my face in my hand. I had a big napkin. I put it down, and my wife came. She noticed finally and said, "What did you do? What did you do?" She's banging me in the back. I'm saying, "Shh, shh." And of course, you couldn't get out the door because it was locked. Um, so there I sat, and I was the figure of fun for at least the next half hour. Nobody said anything to me. Nobody said that was stupid. It was very, very formal, very polite. But my wife never let me forget it. That was
I'm sure.
my favorite meal. I didn't eat anything else that night.
Oh my gosh,
Wow.
you didn't catch a cold for months.
God.
For future
Now I know what
reference,
wasabi is,
yogurt.
and I like it. I mean, I buy wasabi sauce and stuff, but back then
But only a little bit.
yeah, only a little bit. That's
Yogurt or milk will kill the burn.
what will yogurt or milk?
Yes.
None of which were
You
in
make that mistake.
none of
and
it. None were in
milk
evidence
or-
on the table, unfortunately.
Yeah, wouldn't have been on the table.
Sake, yeah, I could have drunk all that. In fact, I think I did have one.
Wow, what a story.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Grant.
What a stupid. Okay, I have to go to town hall. I'm sorry to have to leave, but
All right, well,
I
we'll
wanna
see you
get-
next time.
put the rest of these on the web so I can listen to them. I love the first two.
Okay,
I think it was a great
All-
idea.
all right, bye-bye, Grant.
Go on,
See you
guys.
later.
Bye-bye.
Remove. Okay, there we go. Well, you know what? I bet other people at that party still tell the story too.
I'm
Yeah.
sure they do.
Oh my gosh, Marianne.
Well, I have sort of the same kind of a story that Grant did, but it's a little different, and I've talked about it once before. One of the reasons I'm such a bad cook is because my mother was such a bad cook. And the most remarkable, I mean, I've had many, many wonderful meals, but the most remarkable meal that I remember, and it is now probably, 65, 70 years ago, was we lived in Chicago, and the fish of choice was whitefish. And my mother was as I said, a very bad cook. And it was time to go sit for dinner. And there was this big pot on the stove, probably about really big pot. And there was something boiling. And I said to my mother, "What is that?" And she said, "That's whitefish." And we were having that for dinner. And instead of poaching it or whether, she boiled it for a half hour.
Hmm.
So you have no idea. And she put it on the plate, and it was like shoe leather. And as a memorable meal, that's probably one of the most memorable from my childhood. And I still remember it to this day. So I've had many wonderful meals, but this one was the one I remember the most.
So did you ever eat whitefish again?
Oh yeah, I've eaten whitefish again.
'Cause I think it would be.
But I don't think she was the one who made it.
Oh, so just stay away from her whitefish and you'll be all right.
Well, but she just, she never learned how to cook.
Right.
And of course, here she has a family. And so she had to start cooking. And I don't even know if she had a recipe. She could bake a little bit, but this was unbelievable.
Oh my gosh.
So that's what I remember.
Oh my God, that sounds horrible.
Horrible, horrible.
Horrible.
I'm sorry,
Now
that makes you,
You love sushi.
oh, I love sushi, but not boiled fish like that.
Yeah.
No one boils fish like that.
No.
No,
No one.
no. I mean,
My
maybe
mother
if
cooks
that was
it in
the only
milk.
way you dip it in and then you're done,
Right.
My mother bakes it in milk.
I've heard of that. That's okay.
Yeah, but baking is instead of being in a big pot of water. And just for a half hour. I mean, I'm surprised it didn't completely disintegrate.
Yeah, that's what I would think it would do too. Oh my gosh. How about you, Jackie?
Two meals came to mind. They both were during my time in Louisiana. And the first elaborate meal, it wasn't that it was so elaborate because of the ingredients, but it was because of the preparation. My study partners talked me into throwing a crawfish boil.
Oh, wow.
And the thing is that several people had the boilers that you could use to boil the crawfish. It was like a big pot that sat in a frame and over a propane burner. And what we had to do was catch them.
Oh,
and
Gosh.
so we went,
Work.
we bought crawfish traps, which were relatively inexpensive, and chicken necks, and tied the chicken necks into the crawfish traps, and threw them into a sort of a swampy area on the side of the road that somebody knew had crawfish. And The bad thing was that we also caught a snake. They kept telling me it wasn't venomous. Don't worry about it. I still was a little, I wouldn't go near that. I wouldn't touch I said somebody else can get the crawfish out of there. Somebody else can handle that. But it was hysterical. We were all absolutely gross, covered with mud. We caught 2 garbage pails full of crawfish.
Oh,
And
wow.
then I took them home, and at the time I had 2 Siamese cats. The cats were
Oh,
nuts, absolutely. Siamese cats are nuts, anyways. But they were, and whatever room we moved the crawfish to, I had this old shotgun house, and there were transoms up over the doors. The cats would get up in the transoms and stare down at the crawfish. Hysterical. But
Oh my
but
God.
like I said, we seasoned because it's New Orleans. We seasoned the water. We cooked them with lemon and spices and garlic and some McElhenney's hot sauce. And one of the McElhenney kids was in my class. He was at
Oh,
that
wow.
party. Yeah. But he's not a kid anymore. But the thing is that it was just a lot of fun. But it was catching your crawfish is maybe not, for your crawfish boil maybe isn't the way to go. But
Were they good?
they were delicious.
Yeah.
We put newspapers down on card tables. People brought card tables and chairs, and I had a good sized backyard, and the front yard was kind of nice too. And it was we were off on the side of it, so and it was a heck of a lot of fun. We had neighbors who showed up because they smelled them. But and the menu was crawfish, crackers, horseradish. I'm trying to think if there was anything else, but
What else do you need?
and a
that's
lot of
funny.
beer, a lot of beer, as
Yeah.
I recall. But
Yeah.
that was the thing. I one of my study partners was was very I cooked a lot. I still cook a lot, and I'm pretty adventurous. But she had this bright idea that she wanted to one Thanksgiving. She said we ought to do a joint one, and let's make turducken.
Oh,
Oh,
I keep
Turkey.
hearing about that, but I don't think I know anybody who's actually done it.
Well, luckily we had one of the group, one of the study partners. He was raising veal. He butchered animals his whole life, and he said he'd help us with them. He said, I found a million poultry. Don't worry about it. So he was he got everything, split and boned and de-gutted and all of that kind of stuff. So we actually had it easy. We were working with the sort of halfway through the recipe, and but it still was trying to fit everything.
Now we go through turducken. So tell me the order, how it all happens. Somebody eats somebody else.
Well, the thing is, it's the turkey is outside, the duck, which is smaller, and the chicken. It's actually not a chicken. We didn't use a chicken. We used a Cornish game hen.
Yeah.
Because
I think
by
it
that
was
time we
relatively
didn't.
small.
Yeah,
because you have to get-
and you definitely. I think traditionally people actually put dressing in the middle, but we didn't dare. We were afraid it would never get cooked.
Yeah. Yeah.
we
And you
actually-
die of botulism or whatever you
Yeah.
get.
But we actually pre-cooked the Cornish hen a while. But
Yeah.
the one thing that was really great is that the duck, of course, is fatty. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, but we made sure that there was drainage so the fat could drain out, but the thing is that it still maintained enough fat inside, so the turkey was the juiciest turkey I've ever had.
Oh, wow.
But it took us like 2 days.
And are you what's that called where you're boiling it in oil? Is that what you're doing? Deep frying
No,
it? Kind of?
No,
Putting it in an oven.
we put it in an oven. But the thing is, people do put them in fryers, but we didn't have one, and we felt we were far enough out on a limb with the in the oven. We did have a recipe from Southern Living, so as I recall,
Wow.
but it was so much work and it was such a mess. And if you can imagine, she had two little girls who were underfoot, and they were both extremely polite young Southern ladies who'd come up and they go, Miss Jackie, Miss Jackie. And, and I'd go, I'll never forget, at the end of all this hoopla with the turducken, I made vichyssoise. I thought, we're going to go all out on this. I had made vichyssoise for starters. And one of the little girls came up to me in the kitchen very quietly, and she said, Miss Jackie, you forgot to heat the soup.
That's sweet. Oh my gosh, that's great. That's great.
How do you slice it, Jackie? I mean, how do you?
We didn't. We turned it back over to. Remember, I had the butcher there. We turned it.
Okay.
We gave the carving set. My friend, my study partner, had a was from an old Southern family, a well-to-do Southern family. She was from Natchez, and she'd been a Miss Natchez Trace one year, and she had this beautiful silver-handled carving set, and at any rate, but we turned that all over to we turned that all over to.
But so when you have a slice, you're getting a slice that's had some and some in it all, right?
Or you could. Some people ask, "Can you do it so that he would he'd cut it such that it was just a turkey or just
Right.
duck.
You could
Ah,
have it
that's what I
separate or
want.
all together. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can get if you depending on how you what he did. He actually breasted it out and managed to get all three breasts and sliced that way.
Yeah.
And we had lots to eat, so it wasn't a
Good.
problem. Yeah, it was very good, but and the juiciest turkey I've ever had. But it was so much work,
Yeah, I think, yeah, that sounds like a lot.
even with very professional help. So
Yeah.
and the next time we did a group Thanksgiving like that, he just brought smoked ducks, which were wonderful.
That
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
sounds great.
Yeah.
Wow. So I will tell you guys about my memorable meal. And this was, I just bumped into the program from it, sorting through some of my mom's stuff. So it was a Mother's Day, and I suspect it was, 1972 or 1 or something like that. And so I would have been, 15 or something like that, or 13 or something. And my cousin's family, which was my dad's sister, and our family were very close and in Omaha together, and we decided we would make a Mother's Day feast for the mothers. So there were several generations of mothers and grandmothers. So we had 2 grandmothers and we had 2 mothers, and so we decided to make this really elaborate meal, and it was beef Wellington. And my dad kind of got us started, and I had no idea what beef Wellington was, but it was pate on, tenderloin or something like that, and then wrapped up in phyllo dough or some kind. No, it wasn't phyllo, but it was some kind of a dough,
Puff pastry, I think.
a pastry. That's right.
Yeah.
And and I honestly don't remember the rest of it. Probably green beans or something and salad or whatever. But I mean, it was so much production to get this thing made, and took forever. And then we started, while we were doing it, we thought, well, you know what, we'll make programs. And I had, could do my 13-year-old, what's that, calligraphy.
Yeah.
And so I did this, calligraphy and made programs for everyone. And we had sort of a master of ceremonies and an order of something. And we had every first son, toast his mother. And the meal was amazing. It was so good. And the thing that was also kind of amazing was that, especially in my cousin's family, I mean, we were not super, super sentimental, but we were sentimental enough. And they were all just like, never serious, always, elbow in the ribs and yeah, yeah, yeah. And so having everyone toast their mothers and say something really sincere, everyone was in tears. It was just so sweet and amazing, and everyone was it was just amazing. So as I said, I turned up my program from that not too long ago. Now if I had to find it right now I couldn't, but it was elaborate, and I've never had it since, and I've never even considered making it. But that whole experience was just one I'll never forget. I hope I'll never forget. So, yeah, so
How did the mothers react?
I think they loved it. They were just, and again, it's just not, the mothers sort of always worked tirelessly, and the grandmothers had sort of rested on their laurels. They weren't working tirelessly at this point. But so I think everybody was kind of amazed to have, the kids, and it was my cousin and I, and maybe my younger brother who did and my dad who did all the cooking work, and then, whatever. And, but yeah, I think everybody remembers that. So, yeah.
I've got a hack for you if you want to try it again.
You have what?
I have a hack for you if you want to
You
try
do?
it.
What's the hack?
Pillsbury, the crescent rolls. You roll
Oh
them
yeah,
out.
we have some of those hanging around from Christmas still. So yeah, that's a good idea. And we're
You
bringing
need a
the pate
you can buy it.
just at the deli. I mean, I'm sure that's what we did
And
before.
I've seen it in Windfall's Deli. And in their over by their cheeses.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
kind of a rich meal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
We used to do it every once in a while for dinner parties, and we'd cut the pate with mushrooms, fresh mushrooms,
Oh, nice.
which gives it,
Break
and,
it up a little bit.
yeah, and then the nice thing about the crescent rolls is I remember Maxine used to cut out leaves and make little
nice.
roots on them, and then put
Nice.
them on top of the little package of steak. And
That's nice.
yeah, in 12 minutes in the oven will give you medium rare.
Okay, so
Oh,
you're
that's
making the beef
interesting.
Wellington and you're making the baked Alaska. And we're gonna like waddle away when it's all done.
I'll set the table.
Yeah.
No, I'll bring the wine.
Well,
Yeah. You can
yeah.
decant the wine.
yeah.
Yeah.
My brother's favorite gift is what the steaks you can send through the mail.
Omaha steak.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, are they good?
yeah, actually,
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Omaha, that's where I'm from. They're good.
yeah. And he used to, so that when we get those, we do the
Nice.
beef Wellington, which
Yeah.
It reminds me actually that I've had it within the last year, but it's where my mom lived in Florida. They would make a like a fillet or some kind of a good steak with blue cheese on it, and then it would be kind of not grilled a little bit, but broiled a little bit, and it was unbelievably good. Makes me want to have that right now. That old red meat thing.
I know. And then when you eat it and then you go, I really shouldn't have eaten that
Oh
much.
no, it's gonna kill me.
Right.
It feels so good. Yeah. Yeah.
There's nothing like a beautiful piece of prime rare prime rib
Right,
on the bone.
right.
Probably has 2,000 calories.
Yeah, and you
And-
can't stop yourself from eating it all.
Right, right. And
Absolutely.
it has so much fat in it, but that's what makes it tasty.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm getting hungry
And
too.
then, yeah, and you can't have that within a couple of days of having a doctor's appointment.
Oh,
No,
Like your
No,
no,
cholesterol
no,
is
no.
off the roof. I'm like, no, no, no.
no.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think we should bring this one to a close. And you have been listening to Over the Back Fence, a conversation between neighbors. This is a production of Neighborhood Falmouth. And we hope we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
bye.
Bye.